Alright my fellow agents, welcome back to the Gaming Brigade, and like many of you out there watching this video, I am currently farming for as many winter keys as I can possibly pick up. And the reason for that is because we're in the middle of the 2025 winter event. It is easily one of the best times to farm in the game and pick up certain exclusive items that are typically unavailable to pick up. I'm talking about the Lexington, the Turmoil, the Quick Step, as well as a bunch of others. Now with that being said, since the event began a few days ago, a lot of you have reached out to the channel asking me to highlight what builds do I use when I'm farming the KRAMPUSLAuf regardless of difficulty. So that's exactly what we're going to start to highlight as of today. Now as always, we're going to jump right into the details, and if you happen to enjoy this, do me a favor and hit that like button. It truly helps the channel out, and if you want to stay up to speed on all things Division, feel free to hit that subscribe or join button as well. Now starting with the specialization, you can see I'm using Gunner, doing that for the typical reasons. First of all, you get some extra armor on kill, you get a reload speed increase, but the primary reasons are using the Banshee Pulse, which I love to use with this version of the build. Not only that, you do get an extra rate of fire increase as well. I'll talk about that in a moment. And always remember, regardless of the specialization you choose, always make sure to have the proper weapons activated in your weapon skill tree. That way you're getting a 15% weapon damage bonus regardless of which one you're using. A lot of players forget to do that, then you're leaving weapon damage on the table, and you do not want to make that mistake. Now as you can see on screen, my primary weapon for this build is the Lexington. As I said a moment ago, now is the best time to farm for this weapon in the game without a doubt. It is a must-have for every single player out there. And for the record, so far during this event, I've earned 3 of them. All of them have been God rolled, and all I do at that point is switch the talent to whatever I want, depending on the build I'm running. Now for this version of the build, I'm using the talent Killer, where killing an enemy with a critical hit grants 70% crit hit damage for 10 seconds. And in the meantime, if you do not have the Lexington, I recommend using Saint Elmo's. I can promise you it will still get the job done. As far as your secondary is concerned, that is totally up to you, my friends, but when it comes to your sidearm, I recommend using the Quick Step if you have it, because it has the talent Sport mode, and when you have this weapon in your hand, it's going to give you an additional 20% movement speed. Now, as I said previously, this is one of those weapons you can get from the winter event gear caches, so if you don't have it, I recommend farming for it. Alright, so now moving on to the gear itself, you can see we are running 1 Cheska, 1 Overlord, the Overdog's gloves, and 3 of the Unit Alloys brand set, which is what we're starting with. And as most of you know, this has quickly become one of the most popular brand sets in the game because of the brand set bonuses. 1 piece is 5% rate of fire, 2 pieces 20% assault rifle damage, 3 pieces 50% magazine size, and this brand set also gave us the introduction of a new named body armor called the Equalizer that is attached to this brand set, and it has the talent Perfect Obliterate. Critical hits are going to increase total weapon damage by 1% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 24 times. Next we have the holster, which is the 3rd and final piece of the Unit Alloys brand set. We're running with the Salvo, which is the new named holster because of that middle attribute, 5% rate of fire. So just by having this holster equipped, we're going to get an extra 10% rate of fire. Moving on to the knee pads, we're running Fox's Prayer, which is the 1 piece of Overlord. For that middle attribute, 8% damage to targets out of cover. Right after that, we have the gloves, which as you can see on screen are the Overdogs. Now these have the talent Weakest Link. That is going to amplify weapon damage by 30% to the lowest ranking enemies currently in combat, as per the tier hierarchy. And this happens to be one of those exotics in the game that I'm really starting to center a lot of builds around. Last but not least, my friends, we have the backpack. It is the 1 piece of Cheska that is going to give us an extra 8% crit hit chance bonus. And as you can see, we are running the talent Unstoppable Force. Killing an enemy increases total weapon damage by 5% for 15 seconds, stacks up to 5 times. As far as my skills are concerned, I'm using a combination of the Banshee Pulse and the Crusader Shield. When we make our way to the numbers for this build, you can see I'm sitting at 59.9 crit hit chance, 144.1 crit hit damage. And always remember, those numbers are going to be dependent on not only the gear you have equipped, but having a Shade Watch of level 1000. I'd also like to mention I do not have any global modifiers active in this build, and the reason for that is I want to ensure that whenever you see this thing, you know exactly what it can do without any events going on. Hope this helped you out, my friends, and as always, questions, comments, or feedback, please let me know, and I'll do my best to get back to you as quick as I can. On that note, I'm going to wrap this video up and leave you with some gameplay footage and a few final thoughts. As always, I want to take a moment and thank you all for your incredible continued support. Please let me know of any other questions you have I did not address. Thank you once again for the privilege of your time, and as I mention at the end of every one of these, take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again, everyone. Hello once again, my fellow agents. I hope everyone is having a great day so far. I think I'm battling a cold. Well, I don't have the cold as yet, but it's like knocking on the doorstep, you know? So, drinking tons of water, vitamin C, all that good stuff. Anyway, as we cut to the rest of the gameplay footage, I'm going to leave a few links in the video description. First of all, talking about the winter event, how you're going to get the different bounties, and also a link to a video showing you the best way to farm for keys during this winter event so you can hopefully get every single reward you were looking for. Let me know what you're on the hunt for, my friends. I actually got an eagle bearer yesterday from one of these gear caches, which is pretty badass. Now, I also want to remind you really quick, in case you do not watch that video, that when you're trying to get these bounties to drop from the KRAMPUSLAUF, which you're seeing on screen right now, getting the bounty to drop is not guaranteed. Look, it took me forever to finally get a bounty to drop. It was on challenging, and then after a while I was doing it on heroic. I finally got one on heroic as well, and it was after like an hour and a half of not seeing any bounty drop from these enemies whatsoever. Then all of a sudden, like 4 in a row, they dropped. So again, keep at it, my fellow agents. That is going to do it for this video, my friends. I need to rest up my voice so I can make you a few more builds for the weekend. Thank you once again for everything, and I will see you in the next one.
Reinforcements incoming. Incoming hostiles detected. Civilians in distress. Detected. Nearby location guarded by hostiles. Supply room access unlocked.